Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the New Customer Workshop. I'm joined today by Paul Bensavango. Paul is currently the Marketing and Communications Director at Visit Bucks County, the Bucks County Tourism Board. Prior to joining Visit Bucks, Paul worked as the Senior Manager of Marketing and Communication at the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau. So, Paul, welcome to the New Customer Workshop. I really appreciate you taking the time to time out of your day to talk to us.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me today.
So I really wanted to have you on the show because I love what the Visit Bucks County board is doing with social media, and I thought you'd be a good person to talk to because one of the things that we like to talk about in the New Customer Workshop is how to leverage social media for small businesses. So before we get into the specifics, Paul, if you could just go into your background a little bit, just to get a sense of how you evolved into the position you're in today and when you began to embrace social media.
All right. So I've always loved technology, and growing up in Philadelphia, we had a small house, and there was really nowhere to put the computer when my dad decided that he should invest in one, and we should really he wanted to expose us to that. The computer ended up in my bedroom, so I always was on the net in its infancy and playing with HTML and technology. And then once I got to college, I attended Temple University, have a bachelor's in marketing from the school, and then up going back to Temple University to get a master's from the School of Tourism and Hospitality. So really, I loved marketing, I loved advertising, and I had been exposed to technology at an early age, and really, I loved kind of bringing those two together, and that's really what I see, social media and, all the digital and apps. It's just really the evolution of technology and marketing it and allowing advertisers, marketers, communicators to, access or distribute information and reach out to their customer, via these channels.
Got it. So it's funny. My father actually purchased a computer for us. We weren't actually allowed to have video games in our house, right. So I kind of got around that by having video games for my computer. But it seems more educational having a computer. So
go ahead.
Our first computer was a VIC-20, so I don't know if I'm giving away too much about my age, but
yeah, I don't know how ours was. Maybe an IBM, but yeah, the rule was the computer was not the game. I was allowed to play on the Nintendo was the gaming system, and the computer was for school and for work and things of that nature.
That's great. So, how much focus do you put on inbound social marketing as opposed to, traditional outbound marketing? And for our listeners, how I define outbound marketing is what you would consider, your typical push marketing. So you have a message that you broadcast out to, your audience, and it's pretty much one way, versus inbound marketing where you're creating content or you're doing things that are much more interactive with the idea that, you have a presence everywhere. So that way, when somebody's interested in what you have to say, you're going to pop up either through search results or just the fact that you're ever present in all the different social media channels. Do you split that up? Where do you put most of your focus?
Right. That is a great question, and something that is ever evolving and kind of challenging internally. So there's 3 people here in the communications department at Visit Bucks County. Overall, there's 9 or 10 people on staff. And as you stated in the introduction, we're the official tourism agency for Visit Bucks County. And it's something that the social media channels I feel are very important. And almost every single destination has a Facebook page. There's a lot that have Twitter, not as many, but really, Facebook is where the core of the consumers are, and where we need to have a presence. So it is a balance, and it really takes up a lot of human resource time, I would say, more than it is a dollar figure as it relates to social media. So it's a challenge, that we have internally of how much time does our public relations person spend, writing press releases or pitching, and then she also handles the social media, and it's again, it's this balance because you can really get pulled into conversations and Twitter and the various pieces. So, it's something that we're diligent to kind of strike that balance. And, we're always working toward, the best formula. But, we still do the traditional marketing. Bucks County has a wide array of product that appeals to the families. We have Sesame Place, so that's a young, hip, savvy family that has technology that checks in on Foursquare at Sesame. So we want to make sure that we're in places and on those channels and talking to those types of people. And then on the other side of that, we have the wine trail and the bed and breakfast, the Upper Bucks County experience, where it could be the mature adult, the baby boomer who may have a Facebook page, but they're not really, quote-unquote, all in on the social media. So we really have a lot of traditional marketing that targets the older, the mature crowd that's up in New York, North Jersey. We do placements in show bills and a lot of outdoor advertising. And somebody to say about, having the traditional complement your digital as well. So we do bus wraps and various other, things in Philadelphia Magazine to make sure that we're still out there. But we're continuing to shift dollars year over year from traditional to digital. And this is actually our first year we're doing advertising on TripAdvisor.com and weather.com. Because who doesn't, check the weather when you're looking to do something that's, local? We're getaway destination, so it's really within a 3-hour radius is who we're looking to market to come to Bucks County.
Got it. You actually touched on a really great point, and it's something that I've talked about before. That it's not so much having a Twitter strategy or a Facebook strategy as it is, just having an overall digital marketing strategy. And, you mentioned that, for some segment of your audience, it makes sense to, be on Foursquare, but, for another segment, that isn't necessarily as digital savvy, it's important to be in Facebook. And, a lot of people that I found talking to, their question is, well, what should our Facebook strategy be? And I tell them, well, you shouldn't really be thinking about it as Facebook. You really should be thinking about what does your business have to offer, and where is the audience that you're going to be able to best reach. So, for example, if you're a B2B, Facebook may not make any sense, because when I'm on Facebook, I'm not thinking about my business necessarily. I'm thinking about fun. So maybe it makes sense to spend your effort on LinkedIn or on Quora or, some of those other sites where, people that are, in a business mindset are spending their time.
No, that's a great point. We have that similar kind of mantra here where we don't focus, and a lot of times, like when we're out of presentations and whatnot, and we say Facebook or we say Twitter, sometimes we try actually not even mention those, and we just talk about the channels, and we talk about, if you had the opportunity to talk directly to your customer, to tell them about your product or your destination, what would you say, or what would you show them? And really, that's all, and when it comes down to it, that's what Facebook for us as a destination. It allows us to share photos and ideas, packages, things to see and do to people that are interested in coming here. Same thing with Twitter. We can send out short, quick messages. Again, there's photos, or it's an outlet for contests or whatnot. But it's really just opening the door to talk directly to someone. And it's tough to buy that type of exposure, and especially when you have someone that were to share your link with their 800 friends. Again, I can't buy that. I can put a platform poster up on Long Island and hope people look at it or interact with it. Scan our QR code, but to have that third-party endorsement, to have someone share your link about visiting Peddler's Village in Bucks County, or just to post how they're excited or how they had a great time here, again, that third-party recommendation goes a really long way.
Totally. So you actually touched on another point when you mentioned QR code. Mm-hmm. When you're putting together a campaign, sometimes it's hard to actually measure success, especially when you have instances of if I post something about being on Peddler's Village and somebody reads my tweet and decides, based on that, they want to read, or they want to visit Peddler's Village, for example, how do you go about measuring success in a social media campaign?
Right. Another $1 million question.
Oh, thanks.
We look at followers, we measure all that, likes, retweets, but then, we're really working this year in 2012 to see, how we can show that return on investment. And again, looking at alley links or Facebook links that go back to our websites or that go to our partners, because for us it is tough to say, okay, someone saw this Facebook post, they liked it, but how do we know that they then came to Bucks County, booked a hotel room and stayed overnight? That there's still that disconnect. But, being a marketer, there's something to say about staying in front of people's places, being top of mind when you push out your content. But connecting the dots fully is something that, destinations, deal with on a daily basis, of going back to the executive director and saying, we should be spending time and energy and, staff time to be on these channels because people are coming to our destination. And then, just like you said, the executive director will say, okay, well, show me the return. And we have, on-site forms here in the visitors center and on our website to say, how did you learn about us? And no question, more and more people that come in here, they're putting Facebook down as, how they heard about us. So
right.
That's, I would say, again, we've started kind of, we measure month over month, actually week over week, our growth. And then we look to also tie that, if there's a really good post or tweet, then can we see an increase in website traffic? And again, there's no purchasing products through our site, so we can't tie it in, but we're working toward, how do we really measure that? Right.
So do you use URL shorteners like Bitly as a way to track clicks?
Yep. Yes, we use Hootsuite, so we have the alley links here, and we measure those to see how many clicks we get and those things.
Got it. All right, cool. So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about Foursquare. You did and it's actually particularly topical today because this evening I'm giving a talk on gamification, and Foursquare is going to be a topic of conversation. And I have some opinions on Foursquare, but before I offer my opinions, I'd like to hear from you. So I think this was part all across Pennsylvania. There was a initiative with Foursquare. Is that correct? And then Bucks Visit Bucks in particular was doing a push last year.
Right. So the first tourism organization to partner with Foursquare was Chicago, the city of Chicago. There's a very forward-thinking individual that was there. I think they had reached out to Foursquare and was like, hey, let's do this. Let's create badges. And they created the first branded page, I guess you could call it, on Foursquare for the city of Chicago. And then the state of Pennsylvania was second. And then the state of Pennsylvania had a few badges that they had launched with. And then we were actually the third tourism organization to partner with Foursquare. Unfortunately, being, quote-unquote, a small business, I couldn't afford the badges. And this is, Foursquare started to just blow up when we were looking to get on board with them. And we had gone back and forth, and they had given us a branded page. And so as a destination, we post tips up there of different places to see and, things to do. And what we really look to do is educate our partners and tell them, hey, you're the ones that can benefit the most by using Foursquare to leverage specials and things of that nature. And, we all understand the amplification of it. If someone goes somewhere and they check in at a bed and breakfast or, at one of our wineries, and they share that on Facebook or Twitter or through these other social media channels or with their friends on Foursquare, then again, you're hoping that someone sees that, and then, would comment on the post. I see, that you're in Bucks County. How is, what's the winery like? it creates some dialogue, and again, it just kind of raises the interest level and the awareness of Bucks County. And we turned a lot of industry heads when we were the third destination. And again, we're a small county here, and people were like, "Wow, like we have that mantra here that you don't need to be a big brand to make waves through social media." And we also had some technology blogs that covered us. I think Geekadelphia, technically Philly maybe, had done some coverage about our initiative with Foursquare. And we're up to, I think, almost 16,000 people that follow us on Foursquare. And we've advertised that. We put the Foursquare logo on our ads. And last year on our bus that we wrap with sesame that goes through like Manhattan and Times Square and whatnot, we had put like a call out for people to follow us on Foursquare and like put our URL and everything right there on the bus. Because that's New York City is a technologically savvy city. It's where Foursquare was founded, and we're in between New York City and Philadelphia. We're both technology adapters, so we felt like we were in a great place to to ride that wave. And again, it's worked out for us. People would ask, okay, well, what is the return on the investment for you having a Foursquare page? I'll say, well, there's 16,000 people that are following us, so they're are they following us just because it's another neat destination that gets it, and I want to support them, or that they're interested in our product, whatever the case may be. I mean that's a pretty big number, and again we got some industry recognition, and it was good publicity for the organization itself that kind of helped raise our profile, because a lot of people don't understand what a visitors bureau does. But then the best thing is it really didn't cost money. It was just staff time and really badgering those Foursquare people to help us make it happen. But we didn't. There was really no big investment.
Right. So, I think it's again, it's part of the reason I wanted to talk to you. I think I definitely feel that what your organization's doing is what everybody should be thinking about, and it's very
right.
forward thinking.
On the Foursquare, I'm sorry, is that I mentioned just briefly about the education of partners. But again, I maybe just want to come back to that for a second. Is we say that whatever the partner is, if it's peddlers or a hotel, like, hey, you need to put a special there, so when someone checks in for the first time, they get a reward, or if they check in and show an out-of-state driver's license. Again, that's where the perks really happen with our partners. Since us as we have our visitor center locations on Foursquare where people can check in and get 15% off of merchandise. But it's that you need to sweeten the pot for people that check in. They expect if there's a mayorship, or again if it's a special, or even if they're back 2 or 3 times, that they're receiving some type of award. And it's basically just a digital loyalty program that they've got going on. And again, we encourage our partners to take part in that. So we're really helping bring these channels and educate the tourism partners in Bucks County to get on board as well.
Right. I certainly think, being in the tourism industry, you're really well positioned to take advantage of Foursquare. What I'm finding, and this is just my own behavior, is that when I first joined Foursquare, I was actively using it, and then I found over time, again, I think it's really mainly because of my daily patterns. Checking in at the office and checking in at home really just kind of talks about how I don't really do anything. So,
right.
It sort of lost its appeal to me.
Right.
I think in your case, when people are interacting with you, they're in the mindset of they may be actually on vacation. So I certainly find, we went to Disney World this year, and I certainly found myself, revisiting Foursquare and checking in and just, but it was less about the game aspect of it, because I knew I wasn't going to become a mayor of anything, and more about just an easier way to kind of keep my, friends and family in the loop about what I'm doing. And, I'd mentioned that, I'm going to be talking about it tonight. I think Foursquare is an interesting example when I talk about, adding game mechanics, and we're kind of jumping off topic a little bit, but adding game mechanics to, or games to your marketing, it should be enhancing the message. It shouldn't be the the be all and end all. Like Foursquare exists because it's a game. I don't feel like it's where other businesses are enhancing their offerings with with games. Foursquare itself is the game, and if it wasn't for the badges and the mayorship, I'm not sure what it adds other than just this sort of basic check-in mechanic.
Right. They're adding some new functionality that was released not too long ago that allows people to more, like explore through Foursquare. So almost use it as like a TripAdvisor of like, okay, what restaurants are nearby, or I like Mexican, what's nearby that's like that. And then, the other great thing for us as a destination is we can provide tips, and we post, if someone's at Washington Crossing Park, we've got a tip posted there, so they get some quote-unquote inside information as well. So again, a little, some added value to Foursquare.
Right. And are you going to be doing another initiative this year with Foursquare?
We are. They have the Foursquare lists that are out, and we're just starting to dive into that to create different lists for, history buffs. You should visit these places, or if you're a foodie, go to these places. And you had mentioned gaming, and that's something we had actually done last year on a larger scale. From May, it was actually from Memorial Day to Labor Day, we had a social media campaign, and it was basically involved 6 partners, and you had to do something involving social media at each one of these partners, and you'd be entered in to win. So we had about 100 people actually interact with us throughout the summer, that did something, like completed a task at one of these partners, and we had countless tweets and Facebook posts about the contest. I think we grew our followers 40-some%. For example, they would have to go and tweet us a video about why they'd be so excited to visit Sesame Place. And they were entered in to win tickets to Sesame Place and like a digital a video camera. And then if they went to Peddler's Village, and then again they had to use Twitter, or if they went to a winery, we asked them to post a review on Google Reviews that said, why that winery is so great, and then again they'd be entered in to win something at the wine trail. And I think we were one of the first destinations to kind of do a social media contest destination-wide, and it worked out really well. And it lived on Facebook. That's where they got the information, and we're looking to do something similar this year as well in 2012. And it included, again, Foursquare, Twitter, I think it was Google Reviews, and then we had talked earlier about, there's some audience that's not all in on the social media. We had asked people that were going to Upper Bucks County up to River Road that all they had to do was take a picture and email it in to us. So we still wanted some technology involved, but we didn't necessarily force them to use one of the social media channels.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I want to we're running we're running out of time, and I don't want to take too much more of your time. So why don't we close off with just a final some final thoughts. So when I talk to small business owners about embracing social media, and maybe we'll just talk about Twitter specifically.
Okay.
A lot of times they want to know, well, what should I be talking about? And I think
right.
You're in a great position, and I don't know if it makes it easier, but you can talk. You're reaching an audience that is maybe at least a national audience. Anybody that's interested in visiting the area, so you might have a lot of fodder to
right.
pull from in order to have a compelling message. But
yep.
for a bakery down the street that's
right.
interested in embracing social media, what are the things that you think they should be talking about?
So we have a bakery partner that we work with. It's Town Crier Bakery. That's actually located in Peddler's Village. You should take a look at them. They do a really great job on Foursquare and Twitter. And, they have actually, I think, check-in specials too, where if you come in and check in, you might get a cupcake, or they'll post things on Facebook or Twitter that says, like, come in and say the word of the day, and you can get a free cup of coffee. But they post up photos of their cakes and pictures and share with them. And people say like, oh, that if it's a Phillies hat, when the Phillies were hot last year, they would do a cake. It looks like the hat, and then they tweet it out or Facebook it out, and they get all likes and shares. And I think it's just whatever your product may be. If you're a hardware store, a pet shop, again, just share tips. Use whatever your expertise is. There's somebody out there that's looking for that information or that would find that interesting. And again, it could be, if it's the hardware store, put out things that are seasonal. And again, tips about your lawn, or if it's the pet store, tips about, I don't know, hygiene for your cat. So I think it's really just saying, look, when you have a customer walk in the door and they ask you a question, you can just take that same stuff, repurpose it, and put it out through Twitter and through Facebook. And really, when you break it down and think about it, it's really that easy.
That's awesome, and that's
yeah.
I love that term, repurposing content, because that's a lot of times you put something out like on your website, and I'm guilty of this as well, and it just sort of lives there, and there's no reason you can't repackage it into a series of tweets or even a YouTube post. YouTube's the number 2 search engine, right?
Yep,
so
absolutely.
get your content on there as well, and try to figure out how to repurpose the content. So
I know we're wrapping up, but the other one piece I do want to mention is Pinterest that we're getting involved with. That's now kind of the hot social media channel, and that's really just finding images that are out on the web, and then they quote unquote pin them to your board, and the people can come to your profile and see all these kind of images that you've collected. And for us, it's great. So we have different places to stay, eat, play. Why Bucks County is a great place for weddings, and we post all these photos from our partners, and people can come in and they just they love seeing the eye candy, and people can like repin them, almost like a retweet to their own board and share it with their friends. So that's something I would tell people to check out as well. And it's very simple. You can surf the web, you pin photos, you put them on the wall, and you kind of they're there and you're done. So it's a simple way to, again, repurpose content that you might be already looking at or developing and hitting another social media channel.
Yeah, that's great. And are they at the point now? I know for a while they were invite only. Are they out of beta? So can anyone see your Pinterest page?
I think anybody can see the Pinterest page. I know that when I went on there this morning, it does says request the invite, but I think they're getting more. I think it may be open, where anyone can create an account, or if not, they're going to be at that point really soon. But we're one of the first destinations to create a profile, and again to kind of just dive all in. And people will say, well, again, here's another wine. How long is it going to last? I mean, it's hot, and there's millions of people that are now signing up for it. And with minimal effort, we're creating a presence, and we're going to ride the wave. And if that wave kind of dies, so be it. But you've got the Facebook, and there's 700 million people on there. So you really you need to get on board, and you need to fish where the fish are. Right.
So I heard an analogy. It's not my own, that social media, you should be treating social media like a party, right? You go to a party, you hang out with a bunch of people, but the whole goal is to get them to to become friends with you and hang out with you and come to your house, come visit your site. So I think it's a good analogy. So Paul, thanks a lot for being on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time. So what's the best way someone can reach you if they want to check out some of the things that the Bucks County Visit Bucks is doing?
If you just go to our website, it's visitbuckscounty.com. All of our social media channels are up on the top there, and you can see our site. If anyone has any questions, my information is on our Contact Us page. But every one of our social media sites is VisitBucksPA. So it's Facebook.com/VisitBucksPA, Twitter.com/VisitBucksPA. Same thing for Flickr, for YouTube. We tried to make it simple for consumers. And Pinterest, it's the same thing. VisitBucksPA is our social media handle.
Great. Well, thanks again, and I hope you get a chance to talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Thanks. Thank you once again for listening to the New Customer Workshop podcast. I really appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your day to check out what I have to say. If you want to learn more about marketing your small business on the internet, visit www.newcustomerworkshop.com/podcast.